And this is exactly the perfect foundation that I need in order to craft a unique investment product where there's a huge appetite later on in the secondary market. The most important KPI is the price per square foot of 2,580 dirhams per square foot, which is absolutely unbeatable. Achieving 4,000 dirhams per square foot in the next 3 years is absolutely realistic, absolutely achievable based on the examples which you see right now and based on... Most investors think doubling your capital in real estate takes a decade. But here's how I'm turning $6 million into $12 million in just under 4 years by using 2 luxury units of the JD private residences here in Dubai. And this video is not about speculation. It's not about over leveraging. It's basically built on precise numbers, financial logic, and the perfect timing in order to achieve this particular result. Let's get into it. Bonjour, hello and welcome back to Deals with Simon. This is the channel where we dive into off-plan ultra-luxury developments here in Dubai and in Abu Dhabi in the financial range mainly in between 3 and 30 million US dollars. And this particular episode fully focuses on an investment opportunity that my team and I have figured out because a couple of months ago we published a video about the JD private residences. And the more I went into it and the more meetings I had with clients about this overall development, the more I figured that there's one particular product that is a complete no-brainer from an investment standpoint. And I want to show you the whole financial logic, the whole calculation, how I came to the conclusion of turning $6 million US dollars into $12 million US dollars and why this time frame of 4 years is absolutely realistic. And in case that you have not yet watched the full YouTube video that we published with Heather together as a development, please go back and please watch it as a perfect baseline because now we are fully focusing on the numbers, facts and figures behind this particular investment opportunity. Now, before we directly get into the financial logic, let me focus on the 2-3 most important USPs to really demonstrate you the value of such a project, because the JD, in my personal opinion, is positioned in between the luxury and ultra luxury segment. 117 residences in total. We have 3 floors of amenities and facilities, a super unique rooftop infinity pool overlooking the whole Palm Jumeirah, overlooking the whole coastline. We have an own spa, an own restaurant. So when it comes to the exclusivity and the lifestyle, you have everything given in this particular project. And now the 2 most unique USPs in terms of the investment are number 1, the payment plan, and number 2, definitely the sizes, because these 2 aspects in a combination, they don't exist in this market. And this is exactly the perfect foundation that I need in order to craft a unique investment product where there's a huge appetite later on in the secondary market for people actually wanting to live in this particular development. Okay, so let's get into it. Number 1, as already mentioned, the payment plan. We're speaking about a 65-35 post handover payment plan. Yes, you heard me right, post handover, which is very unusual nowadays in this market. So a classic payment plan would be 70-30, 80-20, for example. But here we're speaking about 65% needs to be paid under construction till handover, which is in Q1 2029. And then 35%, so over a third of the actual valuation, can be dragged out over 30 months, 2.5 years into the future. That is our leverage, number 1. So basically we're buying time with it. And number 2, look at these massive sizes. So we're having here 2 beds starting at 3,500 square foot. The 3-bedroom residences is exactly the product that I'm going to dive into in this particular video because I see the best price to value ratio here, 5,700 square foot nearly, okay? Then we have the 4-bedroom Horizon residences with 7,400 square foot. The 5-bedroom signature duplex residences come at nearly 16,000 square foot. Then we have a very unique 6-bedroom duplex penthouse with 23,700 square foot, and then the pinnacle of the pinnacles is obviously the 33,000 square foot 8-bedroom triplex penthouse. This all together equals the perfect foundation now to look into the numbers, facts and figures behind the sales offers. And before we do that, we're getting into the floor plans, into the layouts to see why this particular 3-bedroom residence is exactly my perfect pick. What we see right in front of us are the floor plans, the layouts of the 3-bedroom residences, specifically the Serenity Villas as they call them, and for good reason, because they come at 5,680 square foot in total, which is more than some of these standalone villas which you find in the secondary market nowadays in Dubai. And the suite area is 4,400 square foot, and the outdoor area, the terrace area, is only quote unquote 1,200 square foot. So I like the distinction between the indoor and the outdoor living space, and you can see very clearly where they're positioned. And I want to focus on the actual unit types, the series, because we have the series 01 and 04 which come into my consideration. One looks completely towards the left side, the Emirates towards golf course and basically the part of the coastline, Dubai Marina, this particular side, and obviously the front facing is completely towards Palm Jumeirah. And on the right side, the 04 layout, we're speaking about views towards the coastline, Burj Al Arab, so basically towards the northern side, and obviously the front facing looks towards Palm Jumeirah as well. So this is basically where I look, and here we have the actual layout, and you can see very clearly it is very an open concept. We have the sky garden here, massive and giant, and then this is the open family / living area, dining area, okay? And the master bedroom here on the right side with the dressing room, with the master bathroom included in the actual room. So it looks very nice and very interesting on the pictures, as you can see right now. And the other two bedrooms, they are dragged towards the back side in order to have the best possible view in the whole sunlight during the day in the actual living area. So this is the layout of the 01 series, and then the 04 on the right side here, which you can see, is basically just mirrored, okay? It's exactly the same layout, but it's mirrored, and the position is obviously then the same, and the size ratios are exactly the same. I fully want to focus on 01 and 04, and now we're diving into the sales offers to see the payment plan behind it. Let's look into the actual numbers to make this investment a reality. And in order to achieve our set outcome, to double our $6 million into $12 million, I'm planning to acquire 2 3-bedroom residences in this case. So one from the 01 layout and one from the 04 layout, ideally on the same floor to even have more control over the actual size. And when it comes to the unit selection, obviously we can go from the low floor all the way up to the high floor, and there's a huge difference in the price because the views are different. This is a pure investment, so I'm looking for this particular case more on the lower side of the floor levels in order to have the best possible price per square foot. So let's look into the sales offer of the first unit, which is the unit 1201, okay? And you can see very clearly the size doesn't differ, it's exactly the same, 5,680 square foot, and then the selling price here is 14.7 million dirhams, and that is the most important aspect because that equals a price per square foot of only 2,580 square foot, which is very, very reasonable and basically non-comparable to anything in the market out there which has such a quality and such a size and is basically typed as this product. And when we look into the actual payment plan, you can see very clearly it requires, again, as usual, a 20% down payment in the beginning, okay, and then very comfortable payments of 5% and 10% all the way down till the actual completion. So the anticipated completion date is Q1 2029. And then I'd like to mark that now in red. I want to add 5% and 5% here. So basically we're gonna continue keeping that property. Okay, same with the other property, the 04 layout, for a minimum of 6 months after the completion, because I want to have the full appreciation cycle. I want to keep it even a bit longer in order to have a higher level of the appreciation and therefore taking into account to continue with 2 more payments. So the total equity which you pay here is 75%. And this is the complete financial breakdown, how to achieve a 100% return on equity in this particular project. Again, the most important KPI is the price per square foot of 2,580 dirhams per square foot, which is absolutely unbeatable, okay? The selling price here again is 14.7 million dirhams. We have to count in the 4% DRD and the admin fee. On paper, that would result in an all-in cost of 15.2 million dirhams. However, since we have a very attractive payment plan, we only calculate 75% equity from our own pocket, okay? So everything till the completion and then 2 additional payments of 2 times 5%, that equals 75%. And that is then 11.4 million dirhams / 3.1 million US dollars. That's your total overall cost in order to get into the first of the 2 properties, okay? And in order to achieve our 100% equity return, we would need to sell the units for 22.9 million dirhams. And I want to focus now on one very important aspect. To get to this goal, we only, quote unquote, only need to achieve a price per square foot, a selling price per square foot of 4,000 dirhams. And the appreciation required, okay, from the time we purchase it till we actually sell it is, quote unquote, only 56%. That equals 14% over the next 4 years. So 14 times 4, and we actually get to this particular number. And that is absolutely realistic, absolutely achievable due to the examples that I'm going to show you now. Let me back up my statements that 4,000 dirhams per square foot are absolutely achievable as a benchmark price per square foot later on in the secondary market in the year 2029 and onwards. And we do that by looking into comparable projects right now off plan, which are all positioned along Sheikh Zayed Road. So all of these 3 developments are in a similar location technically, and they are all in collaborations with different brands. So they are very equal when it comes to the comparison. So let's start with the first one, which are the iconic residences designed by Pinint Farina on Sheikh Zayed Road. Merit is the developer. And here we have 1 bets, 2 bets, 3 bets, and 4 bets. And when we look on the right side here in the column, we see the average price per square foot of all the registered transactions. And I want to focus on the 3 bets, which are here at 3,500 dirhams per square foot. That's off plan. That's not in the secondary already. So halfway, we're already there when the price of the jetty will reach this particular price segment later on, okay? Second is the Mr. C residences in a downtown. Technically, it's on Sheikh Zayed Road, and it's not really downtown for me personally. And what we see here on the average price per square foot of their 2-bedroom and 3-bedroom registered transactions is 3,800 to 4,100 already now. Again, off plan, okay? And the third example which I have for you is the Fairmont Residences Dubai Skyline. And here we have 2 beds and 3 beds as well. And they are selling off plan in between 4,600 and 4,700. So you can see that achieving 4,000 dirhams per square foot in the next 3 years is absolutely realistic, absolutely achievable based on the examples which you see right now and based on the comparable off-plan developments currently in the market. To give you even more proof, more trust, and more facts that a price per square foot towards the 4,000 dirhams mark is absolutely realistic, let me show you 2 particular transactions in the secondary market of, again, similar products. And there is nothing which is one-on-one and equal exactly like the jetty in terms of the prices, in terms of the position, and in terms of the overall concept. But 2 similar developments which I'd like to show you is one transaction of the 5 Lux in JBR, because the 5 is a very well-known brand here in Dubai, especially in the younger generation. And on the other side, we're looking into downtown, we're looking into Il Primo by Emaar. Okay, let's start with the first one, which is the 5 Lux. You can see that a 3-bedroom residence here, okay, on a size of 3,200 square foot. So literally like half the size of what we're speaking here, was initially bought already at 3,400 dirhams per square foot and was resold exactly 3.5 years later on 4,600 dirhams per square foot. So these transactions, they are absolutely happening, and in the 5 Lux you can check on yourself as well. The average price per square foot here is 4,500, 5,500 dirhams per square foot. Obviously, we're speaking about the 5 Lux directly on the beach. It's a different position. However, I wouldn't classify JBR as a much better location compared to Sheikh Zayed Road, and therefore this is the example number 1. And in Il Primo, what we can find here is a 4-bedroom residence that I took, and here we're speaking about 5,176 square foot as a total size, and this is very important because this is the only product that I've found which is comparable in terms of the size ratio, okay? And here the price per square foot in 2021 when it was purchased was already at 3,800 dirhams per square foot. It was resold once in between 2022 for 4,200, and then currently in May 2025 reached 5,500 dirhams per square foot. So Il Primo and 5 Lux are definitely not exactly like the JD, but are comparable products from different characteristics. And this is exactly what you see right in front of you, that an appreciation to reach our target is absolutely realistic, potentially even conservative. Let's have a quick look into the financial details of the second unit as well, because we discovered everything about 1201, and 1204 is on the same floor, just looking towards the northern side. And here the price per square foot is 2,600 dirhams. So the unit price is a little bit higher, okay, 150,000 dirhams. And then the total overall cost would be literally the same. However, we only look into the 75% equity again. 11.7 million dirhams slash 3.2 million US dollars is the actual investment for the second unit. That equals then the 6.6 million US dollars as a total investment. And here, this unit, in order to achieve our 100%, we need to sell it for 23.5 million dirhams. And again, I mark it in red. The price per square foot here is very similar, 4,100 dirhams per square foot, which we need to reach, and 85% is the total appreciation required, 14.5% over 4 years. Absolutely achievable and reachable. And now let's look into the summary. Let's understand everything all together. So on the left side, we see the entry into the investment. On the right side, we see the exit, which we target for Q2, Q3, 2029. So basically half a year after the expected handover. And you can see very clearly the portfolio valuation. So basically both 2 units have a valuation in the beginning of 8 million US dollars when we purchase it. However, we only pay 6.3 million dollars because of the 75% of the payment plan. And on the right side, in order to achieve our gain, basically our 100%, which are the 6.3 million US dollars, we require an appreciation of 57% in total, 14% per year, which is absolutely achievable based on the numbers which are presented to you. And this is then basically the whole journey to get to 100%, to get from 6.3 to 12.6 by Q2, Q3, 2029. These are only the metrics that have to match. So basically, once once the prices of the chatty will be adjusted to the actual secondary market standard, you have reached your goal, you have doubled your money. And this was a detailed breakdown of a bulletproof investment like the free bets in the JD private residences. And if you see the value in such a development, and if you like the way how I explain those kind of strategies, and if you see yourself investing in these kind of ranges of 3, 6, 10, 15 million US dollars and more when it comes to investments, then this is the perfect time to actually take action. Kindly click the link below this particular video, fill out the form, give me some upfront information. The more the better, the more accurate the better, because this is the way how I can prepare myself for the meeting. I will take 45 minutes of my time. We have a private one-on-one consultation and we can go really deep in this call. I'm not a typical salesperson. I'm pretty sure that's quite obvious at this point. I like to craft strategies that are tailored to your individual requirements and to deliver those kind of results, which I explained in this particular video. That being said, kindly click the link below, fill out the form, see you on the other side, and I'll see you in Dubai.